Welcome to In Conversation with, I am Wasif Mahmood. Joining us today is Dr. Mustafa Barghouti, one of the most prominent and enduring voices in Palestinian public life. A dedicated physician and member of parliament, he had made history as a major presidential candidate in 2005. As the founder and leader of the Palestinian National Initiative, Dr. Barghouti has spent decades on the global stage as a fierce advocate for Palestinian rights, democratic reform and grassroots humanitarian relief. Dr. Barghouti, it is an honour to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be with you.
It's a lovely, lovely setting that we've managed to kind of find ourselves in today. The sun is out. This country is enjoying a bit of time in terms of prominence, but the issue of Palestine remains and it retains its importance across the globe. And we know you've been fighting for those particular issues. How do you feel about the situation currently?
It's the most challenging ever. We live through a very dangerous time because what we face is truly an existential threat. The people who face existential threat more than anybody else in the Middle East are the Palestinians.
Yeah.
And that is because the Israelis never stopped their genocidal war on Gaza and never stopped their settler colonial terrorist activities in the West Bank. And their goal is very clear and declared. They're not hiding it. For them, the goal is the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, whether in the Gaza Strip or West Bank or even in 1948 areas. And they are doing everything they could to achieve that goal of ethnic cleansing. In Gaza, there is a ceasefire, but they have violated it 3,250 times without any Palestinian response.
Wow.
In Gaza, they promised there will be allowing access to humanitarian aid through the ceasefire agreement, but what they allow is less than 30% of the 600 trucks that were agreed about. And it's not just about quantity, but also about quality. Yes. No single medical equipment is allowed to enter Gaza. They promised to allow freedom of movement through Rafah crossing. All they allow is 30 of the 18,500 injured people and thousands of other medical cases. They allow only 30 per day.
And in that respect, I suppose one of the issues is that in some ways, by calling a ceasefire by name and not in practice, has effectively downgraded the issue of Palestine on the world stage, has it not?
No, the issue was not downgraded, but the issue was marginalized slightly because of the aggression on Iran and because of the consequences of the Israeli-American attack on Iran, which affected also many other Gulf countries and hurt their economy. And then they hurt the whole world economy. But because of that war, there was a distraction from what's happening in Palestine. And because of the war in Lebanon, the same. And Israel is abusing that by enhancing their settlement activities in the West Bank at a level that is unprecedented. We're talking about no less than 500 settlements and settlement outposts. We're talking about practically the theft of almost 59% of the West Bank.
Indeed.
And it goes on. And we're talking about settler terrorist groups that resemble the terrorist groups like Haganah and Stern that conducted the ethnic cleansing in 1948, these settler terrorist groups conduct every day 15 attacks on Palestinians, burning houses, burning cars, uprooting trees, shooting people. And that's the kind of terrible situation that is not sufficiently reported worldwide. And add to that, of course, the suffering of 12,000 at least Palestinian hostages, including 400 children and no less than 60 women who are tortured every day, who are starved every day, who are even subjected sometimes to sexual abuse and rape. So yes, there is a distraction from what's happening, and that's why it is your duty and our duty to bring attention to what's happening in Palestine.
Indeed. I suppose you being here in the UK as well, there is a specific point in relation to where we are in the UK, potential change in Prime Minister. Do you think that there is renewed hope with potentially a new Prime Minister here in the UK to be able to say more about Palestine in the form of Andy Burnham?
I can't speculate, I don't know.
Indeed.
But we will see. If there is change, we will welcome it. But we will not believe there will be change till we see the change. So far, the British government, under Mr. Starmer, has done horrible things, including continuation of supplying Israel with military equipment, continuing military cooperation with Israel while it was committing genocide. And yes, they recognized Palestine, but that's not enough. Because if you recognize a state and Israel is destroying the possibility of that state, you have to impose sanctions. Here we see the same European approach of double standard. 11,000 sanctions on Russia in less than 2 months, and no single sanction on Israel, which committed much bigger crimes.
Indeed. And I suppose there is an issue of short-term and long-term. So the short-term is obviously the issues of the genocide that are actually taking place and that are happening at this immediate moment. But then there is this issue of long-term solutions, the two-state solution, the idea that there is a possibility for something like that. Does that still ring true for you?
Look, before we talk about that, let me tell you exactly what I think about the situation and what is needed. The most important risk today, the biggest challenge, is how to prevent Israel from conducting ethnic cleansing. If the Zionist movement failed to conduct ethnic cleansing in West Bank and Gaza, they will fail. They've already confiscated the land by force or occupied the land by force. But they cannot succeed without ethnic cleansing. That's their ideology. So, in my opinion, the most important task for all Palestinians at this very moment is steadfastness. That we remain in Gaza, and the people in Gaza are heroically steadfasting there, and remain in the occupied territories in Jerusalem, West Bank, etc. And it is the duty of every Palestinian worldwide. It is the duty of every person who supports Palestinian cause to provide everything they could to help the people stay and steadfast in Palestine. Second, that alone will not change the formula, will not change the balance of power. To change the balance of power, we have to transform and translate the whole solidarity movement worldwide into a material effect. Mm-hmm. And that is through boycott, divestment, sanctions, campaigns on Israel. So for me, the most important two tasks now is steadfastness and BDS. What will be the solution? Israel already killed the two-state solution. But that for me doesn't mean the end of Palestinian cause. Actually, that will bring us to a better solution, which is one democratic state for everybody, which I support.
Indeed.
And people tell me Israel would never accept one-state solution. I said, but do they accept two-state solution? Neither the government accepts it, nor the public accepts it. 70% are against it in Israel. 90% are supporting genocidal war. Because Israel is shifting towards fascism. And that's why it should be subjected to sanctions. So I think in the long run, we have to understand that our goal as Palestinians is not only to end occupation, it's not only to end apartheid, it's not only to end and prevent prevent the ethnic cleansing. Our goal is to bring down the whole settler colonial project, and you will never have a democratic state with true just peace without ending the settler colonial approach.
I mean, these are very, very important points because they lead to, I suppose it's an ontological point, isn't it? It's a point of where you are seen or at least are felt to be seen. Is the narrative ever about you really, or is it about you being a bit part in someone else's story?
Right.
And this issue of fascism, it really is a mirror to the West itself as to how much do you accept the issue of ethnic cleansing, things that you've seen in your own history very recently within livable memory, and are you willing to accept that this is actually still happening today when it's presented to you with facts? And I suppose the other thing about this is just the sheer documentation that we have of what has taken place and what has happened. It really does scare people to think that we are so soon from World War II, from where we saw this happen, that we can see it again and we can see it so clearly, but still do nothing about it.
Yes, and the issue is bigger than Palestine because the violation of international law, which reached a point of really creating a situation where there is no international law and no international humanitarian law. It's happening in many places. Greenland is one example, maybe Venezuela is another example, but Palestine was the particular case which exposed completely, because of the genocidal war, how deep, profound, and dangerous the absence of international law is. And that is the challenge. I spoke the other day at Oxford University to the young people, and I told them, you are the future generation. You have to be concerned, because it's your future. If there is no law, and if all the arrangements that were created after Second World War to try to sustain peace is gone, if UN is over, then what do? We live in a jungle.
Indeed. I suppose one of the issues is Palestine circulates because it resonates. So the issue of Palestine can be seen in so many different struggles throughout history and throughout people's ideas and identities of ethnicity and where they are and where they have found a voice. So this idea that we can let it just pass is really something that I suppose underneath people are almost losing a sense of humanity by letting this happen to Palestine.
Yes, but on the other hand, Palestine has become the cause of justice number one worldwide. And now Palestine is not only an issue in Palestine, it's an issue that is an internal issue in every country. It has become an internal election issue in many places. You can see it in American elections. Mamdani would not, I think, have won in this manner if it wasn't for the Palestinian issue. Maybe Kamala Harris lost elections mainly because of the position of Biden towards Palestine. You can see Palestine has become an internal issue everywhere for two reasons. First reason is because, as I said, it's a struggle against fascism globally.
Yes.
And people in different countries of the world see their interest in defending Palestine. But the other thing is that, as Nelson Mandela anticipated at one point of time, Palestine has become the most important human issue of our time. And there was a time when Vietnam was the case, but not at this level even. There was a time when South Africa was the global case, but also not at this level. We've never seen in modern history any similar case and a similar level of globalization of an issue like Palestine. And it's now an issue in Harvard, an issue in Stanford, an issue in Oxford, an issue everywhere. So I believe we will succeed because actually we've managed practically with our little resources, with our small place, to mobilize the whole world.
Indeed. And it's an enduring issue, isn't it? It's that point that you are raising, that it doesn't die down. It never can die down because of the voices that so many people feel for it. I suppose from a UK perspective as well, I mean, there has been a lot of blowback for people that have wanted to stand up. I remember we've had cases over here with people that have seen the genocide firsthand, people like Dr. Ghassan Abu Sitta, Dr. Nick Maynard, people like this in the medical profession that you might be familiar with yourself.
Of course.
In relation to what they've done and what they've said and how their voices are being really stopped. I suppose there's a lot of courage for the people for what they do as well, but there is a need as well for regulators to allow people to say what they want to say. Have you found that when you're speaking to people that you've had to kind of reassure them a lot of the time that they should continue speaking out because of these particular issues? I think it's very important that you do put that point across as well.
No, I do agree, and of course we talked about that, especially in many important sessions we had, many important conferences, and especially the one yesterday, the Stop the War conference. But and I said, you see, what the Israelis and Americans want is not only to demilitarize Palestinians. They want to deny us the right to resist in any form, even the most peaceful one.
Yes.
And what some people do here in United Kingdom is to try to prevent you, to deprive you as human beings from the right of showing solidarity.
Yeah.
And the right of defending justice.
Indeed.
And that's why I think it is our common struggle in Palestine and here in UK and everywhere in the world, not to allow the oppressors to deny us the right to resist
Indeed.
for justice.
Indeed. I suppose one last point in relation to some of the things that we have seen, and again, it comes down to that kind of ontological idea of whose land is this and why is it there? We had this event in the UK I think it was last week on the 14th, where there was the sale of Palestinian land, its settlement land in Gaza and the West Bank, effectively being showcased here in the UK. That must really kind of make the blood boil in relation to what exactly people are actually doing and how they're kind of playing roughshod with regards to international law again.
What the Israeli government and Israeli army are doing what the Israeli army and Israeli government are doing in the last 3 years is what they've been doing since 120 years, which is theft of Palestinian land. But what they are doing now is at a level of arrogance and a level of daring acts that is unprecedented. And I think it's absolutely shameful even to allow such an activity to take place where people steal a land of another people and then come and sell it.
Indeed.
The fact UK should have never allowed this to happen because that means you are supporting not only theft and violation of international law. Practically, this means supporting the most criminal act that could happen to people. So I believe, yes, this is a reflection of reality, but it's not new.
Indeed.
And we have to remember that Israel would not have managed to confiscate so much land in 1948 if it wasn't for the imperialist British support then.
Indeed.
And let me tell you, what they try to do now in the West Bank is exactly what they've done in 1948 areas. When Israel was established in 1948, Palestinians owned 92% of the land it was established on. Now they only have 2.8% because the rest was stolen from them. And that's exactly the process that Israel is trying to conduct now in the West Bank. And I tell you, eventually they will fail. And the key to their failure is our steadfastness and on our land.
Indeed, and I suppose that same statistic is in relation to, I mean, it's a moment in history, isn't it? You had 1948, then you have almost this time that we're in right now where populations were actually completely decimated. We had a population that was in the ascendancy in 1948, and then all of a sudden the figures for the next year show that there is a larger Israeli population than there is a Palestinian population because of the effective forced removal of all of those particular people at that point in time. There is no denying that that is what they are trying to do right now as well with the settlers that have actually come in and had made that point very clear. But I suppose it is this particular issue of hope as well that we must hold on to in relation to moving forward. There's current political acts, I suppose, as well, that we can really pick up on. So what's happening with Iran right now, the way in which it has been quite forceful in relation to saying, well, no, actually, you've broken the ceasefire, so we're going to take a stand in relation to certain issues on the global stage. This forcing of the narrative, that's quite a new initiative that a lot of people have not seen, and that must be some form of hope as well.
Of course, it's very important because you raise the main question, are we all equal human beings or not?
Yeah, well,
and are we all entitled to the same rights or not? How can you, I mean, Israel, the other day, the Israeli government, they lost 4 soldiers and they said they will erase Lebanon from the ground. But what do they expect? They expect to conduct a war, kill thousands of Lebanese and thousands of Palestinians and have no injuries and have no losses.
Yeah.
But the mentality is a mentality of impunity. not only impunity in front of international law, they want to fight and kill and destroy and conduct ethnic cleansing and genocide and no losses on their side. That's the mentality of the most racist ideology that humanity has ever seen.
Indeed, and I pick up on that point as well. I mean, we look at just a state where effectively you've got people rushing to a police station to protect effectively a rapist that's on camera.
Yes.
So that kind of idea that is being formulated and being allowed to flourish in society must, for the Israelis' own sake, have to be tailored in or tapered in. Otherwise, where do you go with your humanity?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Doctor, it's been such an honor to kind of take this time with you today. It is a lovely, lovely sunny day. As they say with the British Empire, they say they kept it because it was the case that the sun never shines on the British Empire because God doesn't trust the British in the dark. But that's why we are here today in the sunshine, basking in it, but by the same token, having a really important conversation with regards to what has happened in Palestine, what is happening, and it is hopeful that the future will show us that we are in a place where we will have a voice, a narrative, and it will be free Palestine.
Enjoy the sun and get as much vitamin D as you can.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for joining us today. That was an interview with the amazing Dr. Barghouti. We will be back, and we hope you enjoyed today's show.